The Deutsche Post DHL Group, DPHL, or in short DHL for the cargo business, is the market leader in the German business and in nearly all logistics activities. DHL, the cargo part, operates all over the world and is able to offer their customers comprehensive services that extends to all mode of transportation, and also the one that is of most interest for us here today, the maritime business. The strong competitive position of DHL is the best prerequisite for further growth, and as part of our strategy, we aim to be the provider of choice for our customers, for attractive investment for shareholders, and the employer of choice for our staff. That's what Dr. Frank Appel, CEO of DHL, says. Frank joined the group in 2000 as Managing Director of Corporate Development, has been a member of the board's group of management since 2002. He holds a Master in Chemistry and PhD in Neurobiology from the, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. With this, I wouldn't say untypical, sorry for that, but with this kind of education, I think you have a very good understanding as neurobiologists how people behave, what the people are doing. I think it's a fantastic prerequisite for a CEO managing such a big company. The company he managed, DHL, has a history that dates back over 520 years. But Frank is a dynamic man, as well as DHL is a successful company. Both prove that large enterprises with long history need not to be stuck in the past. Today, DHL is active in more than 220 countries. They employ about 480,000 employees worldwide, making them one of the top 10 largest employers in the world. And this is absolutely fantastic for us, and this also was a big footprint in the maritime industry. With this, DHL is a dynamic company, forward-looking company, logistics company, and we are now delighted to hear from you, Frank, how this can be true and what the challenges for the future are. The floor is yours, Frank. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Frank Appel, CEO of DHL.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jürgen. Thank you, Peter, for the invitation. It's a great honor to be here today and talk about, this industry and even beyond. So, before I start, we are really living in a world which gets more complex, more uncertain, has more transparency, more choices, and is to a certain extent, therefore, more volatile. And that is a challenge for all of us. But at the same time, we should never forget that we live in a significant better world now. And that is thanks to logistics. Why do I say that? Globalization has been the key driver in the last 50 years to create a better place, and I will show you in a minute some statistics how much progress this planet has made. And globalization is only possible with logistics, and it's only possible with ocean freight. So you all have done a tremendous job. We all have done a tremendous job to really enable to ship the products around the world and improve the performance of the whole planet. And I think we should always keep that in mind. How many products are manufactured around the world and shipped through the shipping lines, the forwarders, the shippers themselves, the consignees, to really deliver the products finally to consumers to improve the performance. So, therefore, let's look into some of the statistics, how much the world has improved, before I talk about the challenges, before I talk about the opportunities, because I see there are significantly more opportunities than challenges, what we are doing as an industry and what we are doing as a company. So let's look first into some statistics. So people live significantly longer around the world, and I think we can be very proud that we have achieved that. So the life expectancy has increased by 90 years in the last 50 years, so that's tremendous. And that's not only from the developed countries, it's also from the developing countries. Maternal mortality has reduced almost by half. And children survive much longer than, not too long ago. And that is all driven by life science and healthcare. But I recently met in Davos the head of Gavi, who is these, Vaccine Alliance, and he said, our problem is that 30%, up to 30% of all vaccines never reach in good shape the patient or the people who should get vaccinated. And that's, of course, a significant problem in many parts of the world, in particular in Africa. And they're looking for reliable logistics partners to really help them to get the vaccines in the right place. So we are doing a lot of that. We have our DHL ThermoNet, where we really provide, we have the strongest footprint of any integrator in Africa, and of course we can help with our services. But we as an industry can help tremendously as well to really provide temperature controlled services. So the other one is education, and the progress in education is terrific as well. And you can see that education gets really traction if there is economic growth. If parents really have time for their children and the children get the time to go to school instead of working for the family, that's a turning point. And a lot of stuff is related to the growth of the economy. And of course, the growth of the economy is again linked to what we are doing as an industry. So I see that all the time, and I'm a board member of Teach for All, which is an NGO who really supports countries to give education to underprivileged children. So they are hiring teachers from top universities in the different countries, and we are now in 35 countries with Teach for All, or even more in the meantime. And these well-qualified graduates are working for 2 years in schools for underprivileged children, and the impact is tremendous. So that's something what we do as well in that area, and I think we jointly do that. So I think you should feel proud belonging to an industry which has enabled that in the last 50 years. A BMW or whatever product you buy is only something worth if it reaches finally the consumer. And our industry has done tremendous stuff to really deliver that. But we are facing significant challenges, without a doubt. The world economy is facing challenges, and I come to that in a second. Global conflicts are imminent. Inequality is a problem. So we all face jointly these challenges. And I think that has created the new normal somehow, that we are dealing with that on a daily basis, and forecasting becomes more and more difficult. And you can see that on this page. That shows data about the forecasting of the GDP growth of the world and what really has happened. In the last 5 years, not in one case, or 4 years are shown here, but 2011 was no different. Not in a single case the forecast was precise, it was always less. So that's a challenge for the economy. On the other side, having been in Davos this year, having heard what journalists are saying and politicians are saying, we are in a very difficult moment. If I then listen to CEOs of many other companies, be it financial institutions or industry or service companies, none of them was very negative about the outlook for 2016. So there is definitely an overstatement quite often. Everybody thinks it gets worse. We don't believe that, but we don't believe either that we will see in the next years tremendous growth. And why is that? Because two reasons around the world had triggered really economic growth, and one is population growth. So the world doesn't want to have really population growth to a significant extent. So the other driver has been productivity increases. And we have seen in the last 15 years less productivity increases than in previous periods. So there's a challenge. That's the key driver why economic growth is not as strong as it has been. So we have to look for new economic growth. All these deviations from forecasting has led to a significant demand-supply imbalance in ocean freight, as you know, and has put tremendous pressure on freight rates. So the industry has suffered quite a lot because the shipping lines need for good forecasting. Unfortunately, it usually happen to a smaller extent than forecasted. So therefore, we have a significant challenge. And not only the shipping lines, the shippers, because they don't know how the rates are behaving in the next 12 months. Therefore, they have a challenge to buy to the right price. And we as a forwarder as well, sitting in between, have to deal with that too. So this is where we are at the moment. That is one challenge. The next is that local conflicts become global threats. So we see that around the world. We have terrorism now spilling over. We have in Europe now a refugee crisis, which is significant. And in the ocean freight we know about piracy, which is a challenge as well. So this is what happens in addition, and we need, of course, security around the world, and that's a challenge. The third is the fear of increasing inequality. So if you go into the statistics, you can see then the inequality between countries has reduced in the last 25 years. So that's a consequence of globalization. So the extremes between the rich and the poor countries got smaller, but inequality increased in the developed countries at the same time. And that is dominating at the moment in the Western world, the politics somehow, this challenge. Therefore, we need in the countries, in all countries, more growth, because that's the only way how you can deal with that. I'm not convinced that just redistributing money is the solution. I believe that economic growth is the answer to that. But that's the challenge. These are the three challenges: economic volatility and slower growth than expected, global crisis, local crises or conflicts which are leading to global threats, and inequality. But against that background, there are huge opportunities. And we need more growth, as I said, and there are huge opportunities. The first is Industry 4.0. That was a theme as well of the World Economic Forum this year. And it's tremendous what the opportunity of that is. So we have done a study with Cisco that in 2020, 50 billion devices will be connected to each other. So that creates a tremendous opportunity. So we see that there is more collaboration possible because more data can be exchanged. That creates productivity improvements as well. So we are just using in one of our warehouses now a robot which is trained by a human, and then he can help and support that human to do his job better. So that robot is called Baxter, and we are pretty happy about that. But on the other side, if you think about Industry 4.0 and knowing that a container doesn't even have a barcode, it shows how much we are behind in certain areas. So other people are thinking about communication between cars, and we even can't really communicate between containers. And that's a challenge. So we are working on that, of course, and we as an industry have to do that. The next is what I call Service 2.0. So you see here, a person in our warehouse where we have vision picking. So we use smart glasses for pick and pack. And that's, in the pilot, a tremendous success. We get 25% productivity improvement through that. 25% productivity improvement. Of course, you can share that between customers, employees, and of course your profitability. So that is just one example where we see. Or Ocean Secure, where we really check in real time tracking and temperature of containers. That's another opportunity. So there are plenty of opportunities. Why is that so exciting? Because human beings are excellent in managing complex matters. Computers are great in doing things repetitively, precisely. So if you combine these two skills, you get tremendous opportunities for productivity improvement, and we see that. We are rolling that out now to 6 other warehouses to get more experience with that. The batteries don't last that long, unfortunately, so therefore we have to work with that, but I think there's a lot of opportunity. If you on the other side see how much paper we still work in the maritime business, that's a huge opportunity. We are dealing with paper when others are having smart glasses to pick and pack. So I think we are behind in that area as well in the ocean industry. The last one, which is a huge opportunity, is free trade. So I know that at the moment you have here in the US the same discussion as we have in Europe. The TPP is agreed, and it has still to be signed. And of course, in the current situation In the US, you probably will not get it signed before the election, but I hope that we will get it signed because there is overwhelming evidence. We do, on a regular basis, what we call a DHL Connectedness Index study, where we look into the connectedness of countries. And what you can find is the countries who are well connected have done significantly better. Many of them are in Europe, but there are examples like Singapore, who were nowhere 50 years ago, as one was the most wealthy countries in the world. So I think we can do such a lot. TTIP is the same. We have to finish that as well because it creates a lot of opportunities. Once in a while, there are good signs. Your president just signed a law that you can increase the de minimis now to $800 in the US, which will help e-commerce tremendously cross-border. So that's great news. So we are moving once in a while in the right direction, but there's still a way to go. So how do we deal with that? So we do a lot of trend research. So about what should we do going forward. And this trend research is helping us because if you don't ask the right questions, you will never get the right answers. So we are looking into the future, what we can do. And there are many different things you can do. Here are some new trends, and you can get surveys and reports about that. Internet of Things, I already talked about, 50 billion. We do, of course, we are using that ourselves. E-commerce, we are only at the beginning of e-commerce. We are not in the middle, we are at the beginning of e-commerce. So we will see significantly new opportunities. I recently, and that's a combination of many things, I recently listened to somebody who said, not too far in the distance, if you have lost something, like said you lost a scarf, and you walk through a city and look into a window where you can buy scarves, the camera in the window of a retail store will recognize your face, will link that face to what you have told in the social net to your friends that you lost a scarf, and you get immediately on your mobile device an offer that today, for people who have lost in the last 2 weeks their scarf, they get a 50% discount on all the scarves you can buy in the shop. So that's what is happening at the moment, and that's only the beginning. I recently talked to a young guy in our company who's working in that area, who said, Frank, maybe when you are traveling around the world and sitting alone in the hotel room in Long Beach, you put in the future this piece on your head, and you will experience that it feels like you kiss your wife. I said, do you think really that this is cultural progress? He said, yes. I said, not for me. So this is really happening, and that's real. I was in Davos again, and I was in a session where they put a device on the head, and you could see the neurons who are firing at the moment. And they said, we are not too distant to understand soon what you're thinking. So this is artificial intelligence. Call it augmented reality. That is all possible. And we have to leverage that for our own purpose. We have to think in our industry how we can use that, how we can use data, how we can enable products, containers, shipping lines, what trucks to really communicate better. These are the things we have to work together. How do we do that? So we are working along 4 lines. We are looking into service-driven innovation. We are looking in data-driven innovation. We are looking in technology-driven innovation. And we are looking in people-driven innovation. So what I mean by that is this. Service-driven responses. So we need more visibility, that's for sure. We need significantly more visibility for our supply chain, and we are working on that. We have a visibility tool which you can use, and you will get more information where your products are. That's one. Or, carbon is a problem. Even China and the US have now committed themselves to targets. There is a problem. You can buy from us a service, which we can call Green Denmark service, where you can select a more carbon optimized vessel for your shipments. So the information is available, you can choose, because there are choices, of course, which one you can take. And I see that as a good example where you use the new technology to really leverage that and create new opportunities. Data-driven responses. So, resilience is key. Those of you who are shippers know exactly what, your bosses will tell you if the products are not reaching the destination because you have social unrest, natural disasters, traffic congestion, whatsoever. You need resilience. We have developed a tool where we collect from the cloud somehow information and make it available. What you can do is certain things are happening, how you can redirect, which kind of inventory you need with the expected impacts we have. This has been used now by quite a lot of customers already. They are very pleased because it gives them more visibility about their supply chain, so that's great. The third dimension is technology-driven responses. So that's definitely not yet for shipping lines. We will not lift containers of drones. This is our drone, actually, which we have used or testing at the moment in southern Germany, where you see what we call a locker, a parcel station, where you can bring a parcel to the locker as a consumer, put it there, the drone picks automatically the parcel up, the port opens, the drone which you see there is flying to a different parcel station, autonomously drops the parcel, puts it back into the shelf, and you can pick it up in a different, whoever is the consignee will pick it up at the destination. So this is what we are experimenting at the moment. You can think about that. If you have ships on anchor, why not using drones to supply products to these? That is not too distant because these drones are working already. They probably will become only used for emergency, shipping lines or ships which are close to the shore, or in natural disasters. If a natural disaster happened and you had 10,000 drones, you can definitely feed the people and bring them water. So we are doing that for a while already, and I'm pretty happy. The last innovation, what we do is people-driven responses. So we are training at the moment everybody, from myself to the warehouse clerk, in what we call a certified program. We are giving them the understanding, why is our business important, what should we do to really improve the performance, and that's a cultural change program. We have done that in Express with tremendous success, and we are rolling that now out to all divisions. Everybody, including myself, I did the program already. I'm a trained facilitator to do the training because we as a board believe that you have to role model that. So coming to the end, we have to cope with a challenge, and therefore this is what we are doing actually as a company. We try to create short-term flexibility. Of course, that's for us with a more asset-light approach easier than for the shipping lines, but that's what we try to do in the best possible way. We have developed a long-term strategy. We have launched in 2009 a strategy which we call 2015. In 2014, a strategy 2020. We give the organization a long-term compass. We have more than 30,000 people trained in Six Sigma, lean management, and these kind of activities, so to continuously improve. And we have established a culture of innovation by making mistakes once in a while and correct them if they happen. They are not nice, but they are important. And we do that by telling our people why we are important. And I'm talking always about that to our colleagues as well, that logistics company, our company, makes a significant difference. We are connecting people, improving their lives, as I explained at the beginning. We are managing that through 3 bottom lines. That means customer satisfaction should be improved, employee satisfaction, and the financial strength. And we have a claim, as you hopefully know, excellence simply delivered. We want to make life for our customers easier every day and simpler. And I know that this is not happening all the time, but at least that's the goal where we want to go. And that should lead us to and I'm coming now to a close before I summarize. We have the aspiration to want to be the logistics company for the world, the most global, which we believe we are already, being present in all countries and territories of the world except one. We want to be the quality leader. In some areas, we are already quality leader. We want to be the most customer-centric, and I know that this is once in a while a challenge, but we are striving for that. We do that for our strategy 2020, Focus, Connect, Grow. I don't explain that here because that's more important for internal purposes, but I'm very proud that we are among the top 100 most admired brands. And there are only 22 B2B brands. Most of them are B2C brands. And there are only 22, and we are one of those. And of course, I'm very happy about that. So let me finalize now with one thing, which is we are very proud and passionate freight forwarders since 1815, so 201 years this year. Louis Danzas founded Danzas at that time, and we are still very passionate and excited and proud forwarders. So you have read maybe 2 weeks ago something in the press which is completely nonsense. We have no intention. There were no discussions about that we are selling our DGFF division. We will keep that. We are very proud that we have a market leader division. Yes, we had some challenges. We made some mistakes. We corrected them. We have now a much clearer path. We have found a better approach to our IT change. It didn't work in the first place, but I tell internally as well, if you want to innovate, if you want to be innovative, you make mistakes once in a while, and sometimes it's unfortunately costly as well. But then you should forgive yourself and go on, and we are doing that. So I can very clear here say, and Peter asked me as well, after that broke news 2 weeks ago, they said, oh, now the speaker is coming and they might sell it. I can definitely say there were no discussion with anybody. There will be no discussions. We will improve the performance of the DGFF division ourselves, and we are very confident that we can make that happen because we are so proud that Danzas was one of the founders of this industry and is still very successful. So to come to a conclusion, the world is a much better place than it has been. And I'm not saying that because to please you. You should feel very proud. Many of you have worked intensively in this industry. Without the maritime business, the successful globalization, which has reduced poverty in the world, had not been possible. And therefore, we all should feel very proud that we are making a significant difference to the planet. We are helping that this planet becomes a better place. We have to make our homework as an industry to use the new technology which is now available and can be used in our industry to make our industry more efficient, more productive, because that's necessary, because that's the only driver for further organic growth or economic growth of the world. If we do that right, we can create a lot of new jobs in our industry and beyond, and we can help that the planet becomes a better and better place. Thank you very much.